And here we have an example of multiple target objectives. These are fairly easy to set up and fairly easy to, well, keep together. We can see these are basically just copy pasted scenarios. So target 1, 2 and 3 all have essentially the same setup, the same trigger conditions when they're not alive. And we have in this case a parent task ID, which will be the overall objective. Again, this is all pretty simple to set up. There's nothing too complex here. There's a bit of condition checks needed. In this instance, I'm checking where a count of all of these is equal to 3. I could likewise have not alive target 1 and not alive target 2 and not alive target 3. I am essentially doing the same thing as I just deleted. It all has the same result. But this is the parent task. So let's get this done straight off. We're going to have a trigger to fire off when each of these triggers has been called. And we're going to have the first one to start it off. We'll call this task 1. And we're going to have not alive man 1. Hopefully I don't already have a chap called man 1 in the game. I have a feeling I do. No, I don't. Okay, we're going to have 1, 2 and 3. So 3 men to assassinate, meaning 3 tasks required. So without further ado, let's get those tasks down. The same thing you'll see every time. Synchronize that to the state, that to the trigger, that succeeded. Kill man 1. Change that to the kill icon. Change that to all players. Okay. So, not alive man 1 and the trigger is task 1. We copy that 2 times. And obviously we see man 2, so we just need to add the check under the condition to update that to man 2. Likewise for man 3, we change that to man 3. Create task, just adjust the name on that, just make sure everything's all synchronized up. Oh, our task ID, we should be really naming these as we go along. We'll call that 1003. Or was that 2? Yeah. 1003 and then 1002 and 1001. It's actually 10,000, but who cares? Okay, so those are now our tasks done. We're going to create the parent task for that. Now we're going to give that task an ID of 1000 or 10,000, if you can speak. And we're going to disable that position because we're not going to show the position of the parent module. Killed 3 guys. So we just need to do another task state on that one as before and synchronize the 2 together. So we have 2 alternatives. What we could do is we could use the variable name to have 3 condition checks for trigger activated. Task 1 and 2 and 3. So we could do it that way. So when each of those 3 triggers has fired, then this main trigger, this parent trigger, will also be fired. Just one thing, did I check? Did I put that in? I didn't. Oh, that's a good start. So I've created my parent trigger there, but I had actually neglected to update each of these tasks to say they had a parent. So let's just get that corrected now before I forget again. There we go. We'll see how those look structured when we get into the game. Anyway, back on track. We have this set to check 3 different triggers. We could, of course, skip this entirely and just use the contents from each of these triggers. So we could do it alternatively this way. and alive man 3. Get rid of that typo. So basically, essentially, this and this all do the same thing. It really doesn't matter which method you use. For now, I'm just going to use the triggers. And if we jump in game now, we can see our 3 chaps there. We hid the parent, but if we check on our tasks option, which will be our kill 3 guys, we can see we do have to kill man 1, 2 and 3. And there we go, all tasks are now completed. Very simple to do, very effective, and we can spread these guys out far and wide in our mission and allow players to try and hunt them down. As before, we could also really synchronize these to the actual units themselves and then change the destination to the synchronized object. So their actual location will be displayed on the map. So we could have these guys going around doing their daily business. And all 3 will be displayed on the map. That about wraps it up for the 3 distinct targets. You can of course have multiple additional targets by just adding extra conditions on the task.